What is going on, everybody? Star Wars Dad back for another video. Today we're going to be checking out some new cards and just kind of get my first impressions and thoughts as they come up. This new set just looks like there's just so many awesome cards. Like it's so much to even wrap my head around. Like things are definitely going to change. The game is just getting good. Like it's already been a great game, clearly, but it just feels like there's going to be so many cool ways of playing this game, and it just can continue to get better and better. The designers are doing a really great job, I have to say. And no, I am nobody's paying me. But yeah, so the first card we're looking at here is Boba Fett. It comes in as a 5/4 on 5, which is fine, solid. The piloting costs 2. When played as an upgrade, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. And if the attached unit is a transport unit, you may deal 2 damage instead, and then it gives that unit +2/+3. So most of the time you're going to be playing this as an upgrade because that is much better. Clearly it's going to make sense in a more of a space-heavy deck. I have no idea what deck that I would put this in yet because we're still getting new cards, and there's going to be so many vehicles, I would imagine, and transports and space units. So it's really up in the air for me. Just getting these first impressions, but I really like the piloting for 2 costs. That's really good. Cool card. Cassian Andor. Okay, it's a 3/4 on the ground, and piloting costs 2, and it says attached unit gets on attack. Discard a card from the defending player's deck. If that card costs 3 or less, draw a card, and it gives you +1/+3. Definitely not bad. The stats are good, especially like on a Sentinel or something in a space. On a restored arc, makes it like a 3/6. That's pretty good. I'm trying to think of where this would make sense. It's gonna find its way in a lot of decks. Just these piloting cards, I think they're gonna be very much like there's so many possibilities. Like it's so hard to wrap your head around this right now. Dagger Squadron. It's a 2/1 for 1 resource, and the piloting costs 1. You may play this as an upgrade on a friendly vehicle without a pilot, and it gives that space unit that doesn't have a pilot +2/+1. So definitely solid. Might be good in like Han Yellow or a new version of Han Yellow or some other weird stuff I don't even know about. Dangar. It's kind of weird we're already seeing another Dangar, but okay. So 5/4 on 4, not bad. Piloting is 2. Attached unit gains on attack, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. If this unit is an underworld unit, deal 3 indirect damage instead. Okay, interesting. Definitely seems like it would be pretty good in a lot of those indirect damage decks, maybe like the new Boba leader. Electromagnetic Pulse, deal 2 damage to a droid or vehicle unit and exhaust it. That seems pretty good in any yellow deck with all the vehicles that are going to be going around. Being able to exhaust anything for 1 resource, especially if you're playing like Django already and you're exhausting things. So I would imagine that this finds a place in Quinlan and Django, probably in Cad Bane. It's just probably in a Han 1 yellow, and then any yellow deck that just wants to gain tempo, because it's just going to be, the droid part, maybe we'll see more droids that are more relevant, but the vehicle part, we already know that's going to be relevant, so I definitely think this card will be really good in like an aggro deck where you're trying to push damage, in like the decks I just mentioned, where you don't want to spend a lot of resources on a card like this, but it can be really impactful, especially because it doesn't say that they have to be a certain resource or not. Just my first impression. Seems like a good one. Being able to exhaust it and potentially even kill it. So, First Order Stormtrooper. It's a 2/1 on attack, and when defeated, so both, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. That seems pretty good, again, potentially with the Boba leader or any deck where you're trying to do a lot of indirect damage. Houndstooth. Well, I think that's a new one. I haven't heard that name before. So 4/3 in space. I do like this ability. It says while attacking an exhausted unit that didn't enter play this phase, this unit deals combat damage before the defender. So basically, just has first strike if that unit was already in play and didn't and is exhausted. So another cool thing, like that card we just talked about, you could exhaust something, a vehicle in space that has 6 HP, do 2 damage to it, and then play attacking with Houndstooth and kill it and not take any damage. So there you go. That's why I think this card's going to be good. And that is an uncommon, right? It's a common, yeah. This is an S. I'm not sure what S means. IG88, okay. Say 5 resource, 4/5. 4/5 is decent stats. A little pricey, but then if there's an enemy unit that's damaged, it gets +3/+0, so it would be good in like any kind of deck that is doing indirect damage, using cards like Daring Raid, or even that, you know, a yellow, like a Django deck. This would be good in a Django deck, I think, because then the piloting for 2 is also very good. Attached unit gains while an enemy unit is damaged. This unit gets +3/+0. So, and they get 0/3. So that's pretty cool. So for 2 resources, you can give one of your space units 3 more HP, and then if anything is damaged, then he gets +3/+0. This would be really good on a Ruthless Raider, for example, because you're going to have damaged units on the board most likely, and that would make it have 7 power and 9 health the following turn. And then you could do things like Surprise Strike for 10 plus the pilot for a total of 4 resources to do that. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's going to be good. That's a good card. All these dual cards, man. It's going to just... Whew, this game. It's going places. IG 2000. Oh yeah, I like this one played ability a lot. So 4 costs for 3/4. That's solid. I mean, we have cards that are somewhat relevant at with those stat lines with like the Razor Crest. When played, deal 1 damage to each of up to 3 units. Definitely cool in a deck that you're spreading damage around or having cheap ways of damaging things like Daring Raids and that other card that I was talking about before, the electromagnetic card. Stuff like that where you can do things where you're already getting damage on the board. I'm sure there's other synergies that I'm not even thinking of. But it definitely seems like a good one. Might be like a play like 1 or 2 of, something like that. Just because it can come in and just kill things that are almost dead. lOrGH. I definitely like this card. Restore 1. When played, you may attack with a pilot unit. So you can attack with a space unit or a unit that has a pilot. It says you may attack with a pilot unit or a unit with a pilot on it. Okay, that's cool. And it gets +1 and gains restore. So it definitely has the pilot synergy for sure, but giving a unit restore 1 is sweet, and the +1 is sweet. So definitely, you know, it's going to be good in a pilot deck, but good stats too. 3/4 with restore 1 is pretty strong. It's a cool card. Nicolas Cage. Wasn't expecting to see him today. 3/4. Decent stats for a 3, I guess. Piloting is 2. When played as an upgrade, discard 2 cards from your deck. Return each of those cards with an odd cost to your hand. So I could see this being good in a lot of things, because you're essentially drawing 2 cards for an upgrade of +1/+2 for 2 cost. That seems pretty cool. You know, maybe in like a Han deck, right? Like you empty your hand a lot of times. It's a good safeguard. Like if you put on a Falcon, make it a 4/6. Just discard 2 cards from your deck. You play a ton of 3-drops in that deck already. And then you can return each of those cards with an odd cost to your hand. I mean, seems good. I like the upgrade ability. Seems like a good like 2 of, maybe even more in I don't know. I'm sure it'll be played in other decks too, but Han's the first one that comes to mind. I definitely like the upgrade ability. Page Tycho. 3/2 on 1. Well, that's already good because blue has been missing a 3-powered unit. So double blue decks finally get a 3/2 unit. Only took 4 sets. The piloting says attach unit gains on attack, give an experience token to this unit. It's already a +2/2, then it's going to become a +3/3 when that unit attacks, and then deal 1 damage to it. So an obvious synergy is like ObiWan, because you can heal that 1 damage very easily. But I think this card's going to be played a ton. It's super good. It's an uncommon too, so I mean, it's a 3/2, so if you're playing a ground heavy deck, it's a very good turn 1 play. And then once he gets going in space, I mean, imagine this like in even Ray Tarkentown, right? Like you play a restored arc, and then the following turn you give the restored arc an experience with Ray, or let's just say that it lives, right? So then it's a 3/4. You have 2 resources left. Then you do your piloting, give it a pilot. Then it's a 5/6 in space already on turn 2. Then you attack, and it becomes a 6/7 with 1 damage. That's crazy. That's just crazy. That's such a good card. You're swinging in for 6 damage on turn 2 with a restored arc while gaining 1 life. Crazy. Yeah, I definitely think that makes a lot of sense in Ray too. Just that example alone. That's a sweet card. R2-D2. This upgrade can be piloted. So for piloted for 0 is nice. So it's a 1/4 otherwise. And then piloting costs 0. This upgrade can be piloted on a friendly unit with a pilot on it, so it can be played as an addition to something that already has a pilot on it and give it +1/+1, and then it gains, you may play or deploy 1 additional pilot on this unit. So if I'm understanding this correctly, you could already have a pilot, which normally you're only allowed to have 1 pilot, because R2-D2 can ride with the pilot, of course. Attached unit gains, you may play or deploy 1 additional pilot on this unit. So it's essentially, I think it just means you can only have 1 additional pilot. This upgrade can be played on a friendly unit. So it can be played with a unit with a pilot, and if there's no pilot, it gains, you may play or deploy 1 additional pilot. Yeah. So it allows you to play a pilot with R2-D2. Okay, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. And it's free, 0 cost. So I would imagine like you're going to be playing it as a pilot the majority of the time, 90% of the time. You're going to be playing it as a pilot for +1. That's pretty cool. I like how they did that. Just had to get through the words there and try to understand everything. Ooh, I like this card a lot. Okay, so it's a 3/4 on turn 2, which is great. And when played, you may deal 2 damage to this unit if you do draw a card. So I would say a lot of the times you're going to be drawing that card, because that's awesome. And you're getting a 3/2 in space, essentially, if you draw the card. In an ObiWan deck, obviously you can heal it and make it a 3/3. But that's a great card. And it's a common, and it is not a unique unit. So that's a sweet card. Drawing cards is always good. The stats are good. Obviously, you're not going to draw a card if there's a 3-powered space unit. But super cool card. I like it a lot. Like I said, this new set is just so much fun. Like we've what, maybe seen like a third of the cards, maybe so far, right? It's just so much better than the last set. Shuttle Tidarium, okay. 3 resources. It's a 2/4. On attack, discard a card from your deck. If it has an odd cost, you may give an experience token to another unit. That's definitely not bad. Not sure. I mean, maybe like, I'm trying to think where that would be. I mean, that might be one of the new leaders. I don't know. That's one that's going to take some it could be good in Ray Yellow, because you're giving experience tokens to cheaper units. Like you could give an experience token to this. Like imagine attacking in with this and giving R2 is already a 2/5, making it a 3/6. I don't know. Or making it a 4/7, because Ray could make it a 3/6 on its own. I don't know, maybe it makes sense in a deck like that. Not sure. Definitely interesting though. Tandem Assault, attack with a space unit for 1 resource. If you do, attack with a ground unit, and that ground unit gets +2/+0 for this attack. I could see that being useful in certain decks, like where you need your ground units to get that +2 to be more, like to hit the relevant numbers of like 5 and 6 HP. So maybe you have like 3-powered and 4-powered units on the ground, but you're heavy in space. So then it allows you to, for 1 resource, do 2 things at once. You could kill 2 things at once or close out the game. Seems like a cool card for a space heavy deck that has some ground units. I don't know. Could just be good. Yeah, I mean, you have to attack with the space unit. It does say attack with the space unit if you do, so it definitely needs to be on the space heavier side. But seems like it's going to be good in certain builds for sure. Again, I'm just reacting. I have not done in-depth analysis of the third set. I'm just kind of waiting for more and more things to come out. But the leaders look really cool so far. Okay, this card is really, really good. Okay, so for and double yellow, so it already makes sense in like Han, or even Mandalorian yellow, double yellow. So it's a 5/6. When it's played as a unit, you exhaust up to 2 ground units. For 2 resources, when it's played as an upgrade, just for 2 resources, you can exhaust an enemy unit that is in this arena. That's really cool. And it gets +3/+1. That seems like a very, very good card. Like, just the fact that it's relevant early and then relevant again on 5 resources, like on 2 and on 5, it's very relevant. Could even be useful in like if there's a Django yellow deck, just to like have multiple ways of exhausting things. Attack in with your units and then play a piloting upgrade and exhaust an enemy unit. That's pretty cool. This card has a lot of possibilities. This is a really cool card. TIE Bomber, okay, it's a 0/4 on attack. It deals 3 indirect damage to the defending player with 0 power at 2 costs. Might be good in like Moff Tarkin, something like that, where it gets stronger. And then it's an Imperial, so it has the Imperial synergy where you can like pump it up. Yeah, that makes sense in a Moff Tarkin deck. Seems pretty cool. But yeah, I mean that was the cards I saw today. Again, these are just like first impressions. You know, I'll start doing more like theory crafting as we get more cards, but it's kind of, I mean, definitely getting some ideas now, seeing things, but still a little early to start theory crafting. But some really, really cool stuff coming out. I'm super pumped about the next set. I just think the game just is gonna continue to get better. I love where the game's at right now. Like, it feels so healthy. So many different things are winning. Yeah, Han 1 yellow is definitely the deck to beat right now. There's always a deck to beat, right? Like, that's just normal. It's beatable. It's, you know, definitely very good, but it's very beatable. So, you know, you just have to really game plan for that. But I mean, the diversity and the different things we're seeing winning, and so many different decks have won PQs. It's not like 60% of the meta is winning with Boba like it was in set 2 at the end there. So super cool where things are at. And I just feel like one of the similarities this game to Magic is like, you know, Commander, if you ever played Commander, right? So like you have your Commander, in our case it's the leader, right? And the leader, you know, has all these synergies with its abilities and things like that. And, you know, but we're playing 50 cards where you can play multiples of each card, which is different than Commander. But Commander is one of the, you know, probably the most popular game types in Magic, right? Because it's just so much fun. And that's, they took that great idea I think, from there, I would imagine, and just kind of turned it into a different version of that. And it just feels really, really good where we're at. Like, you know, there's just so many possibilities with deck building and the leaders and the colors, and just I just feel like we're headed in a very good direction with where this game is at. And these cards are just, oh my goodness, like this is definitely taking the game up a notch. Like there's gonna be so many decision making, with the upgrades now, like deciding what to pilot, deciding to play the unit. I'm sure as things get going, you figure that out more and more. But it's just super exciting, super cool, such a good game. Great, creators are doing a great job. But that's going to do it for this one. Let me know what some of your favorite cards are. What are some ideas you have for some of these cards? Like I said, I'm just reacting, just seeing some of this new stuff. So definitely let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, y'all have a good one, and peace out.